Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Team Training Tuesday. I also like to call it Applied Near Life. And we are in the month of February. So I thought February would be a good month to discuss all issues fertility. And the point of it is that we are trying to build series, and this particular series is about the family. So all the F's are thrown together: February, fertility, the family, and we want to build that family on a strong foundation. So it's important that we discuss factors that impact fertility so that we can prepare for pregnancy and for life. My name is Esa Zanambasi. I'm trained as a medical doctor. I did that a long time ago. I did my training quite a while ago, a few years ago. And now I am totally focused on health and wellness, thanks to this family that I belong to called Neo Life. I'd like to welcome all the visitors and anybody who's here for the first time. You are welcome. This is basically to help us to apply what we've got in Neo Life to daily living. And so I just want to start by talking about the importance of the quality of soil and seed. And perhaps for those of you who like to delve into scripture, the Bible, what we learn from the parable of the sower is so profound. And you can find that in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, that I just put this verse here. So when you get a chance, just read it, and then you can apply it to what we are talking about this evening. Yes, it starts with seed. All of us started as seed. And that's what a diagram of the seeds that we started out as look like. And so good farmers have to make sure that they have good quality seed and good quality soil in which that seed is planted. So having talked about fertility, or we want to discuss fertility, but let's first define infertility, which is failure to conceive or inability to carry a pregnancy to term. Now, here are some points that we need to think about. It can be difficult to pinpoint exact cause. Sometimes there's no obvious reason. Usually, infertility is defined as failure to conceive or to carry pregnancy to term after more than 2 years of regular sexual activity, specifically during the time of ovulation. It is estimated that 20 to 30% of couples are affected. And obviously to the couple that is affected, it is a source of much heartache and distress. So it is important that we approach the topic with much empathy, compassion, and sensitivity. So now I want to introduce a concept, and that concept is anti-nutrients. You know, we've become so fixated on nutrition and everything, but do you know that they are nutrient robbers or anti-nutrients? And so optimum nutrition is about what you eat and what you don't eat. What we have observed and what we know historically, since the 1950s, many man-made chemicals have entered the food supply, and that is so sad. Things like pesticides, antibiotics, hormones, plastic packaging, All those are anti-nutrient. And what they do is that they actually stop nutrients from being absorbed and used, or they might increase the excretion of nutrients from the body. So that is very sad. Now, examples of common anti-nutrients. All of you may have heard of this synthetic yellow dye used as a food coloring called tartrazine. If you can think of cool drinks that are a bright yellow or orange color, I'm sure it has some tartrazine in it. And it is known by many names, by the way. It is water soluble. It is used in all those places: drugs, cosmetics, foods, and beverages. Some countries have actually banned it because of the potential to cause allergy or severe reaction called anaphylaxis. And tartrazine is notorious because it increases excretion of zinc in urine. It also leads to hyperactivity. It has what we call excitotoxic potential or effects, and it leads to immunodeficiency. So now, if we think about just that one, it has a potential to create a lot of challenges to fertility. Other anti-nutrients include pesticides. DDT was banned in many parts of the world a long time ago. However, its effects continue to this day. And DDT has been replaced by organophosphates rather than organochlorines that DDT is, organophosphates. Those are still used, but many are known to be cancer-causing, carcinogenic. They are linked to birth defects. They are actually neurotoxic. They poison the nerves and may lead to decreased fertility. And then you have pesticide exposure is also known to cause issues such as depression, aggression, memory decline, and other neurological disorders like Parkinson's disease. Also linked to asthma, eczema, migraine, irritable bowel syndrome or disease, sinusitis, rhinitis. Yeah, so we're dealing with a lot. And when all these things are happening to an individual, the immune system is so taxed that the last thing that that person's body wants to do is to further be taxed by a pregnancy. Okay, I've just thrown that one in, but let me ask the question. What can we do about this overwhelming situation? Because it is difficult to test for the multiple combinations of pesticides that we are all exposed to. And we need now to look at ourselves and say, what can I do? What kind of responsibility must I take? And that's a question we all need to be asking ourselves, okay? Now, it is a fact that optimum nutrition increases fertility. It also enhances the health of a pregnancy, and it gives the chance of a healthy baby with strong resilience to be born. Resilience to disease or resistance to diseases. So there is something to be said about nutrition, optimum nutrition, but then we've spent a few sessions covering the fact that it is very difficult these days to have that. So let's build the theme of strong foundations first. Research shows that if both partners are in good health and receive optimum levels of all the right nutrients, the effects of age on their chances of conceiving and having a successful pregnancy can be reduced. And This is in the light of the fact that many people are opting to have their baby later. There are more and more women and men who are having babies much later than in the bygone days when people had babies in their teens and 20s. Okay? So this is actually a conversation we should all be having for the sake of future generations. And health is not a static state. It can actually be changed. It is a long and endless journey of learning and aspiring to live in the right environment. And so we have to be willing to change beliefs, to change behavior patterns, and all along to get back to some basics, some fundamental truths that work. Now, here are some strong foundations. And we have talked about this so many times, but in the case of healthy habits to increase fertility, diet is very important. Exercise, sleep, stress management, good interpersonal relationships. That all sounds very, very obvious. But you know, we belong to a family which emphasizes all these things. And so for the guests, welcome. Welcome to the New Life family. Just continue listening to what solutions we have. Okay, I thought I should actually emphasize that we need to be eating real food. And so here are some suggestions of real food that we all need to focus on and to forget highly processed foods. So for him, things like zinc-containing foods such as pumpkin seeds, they are known to be full of zinc. Then tomatoes are known to be full of the right carotenoids to protect the prostate. And then for her, as an example, eggs, things that are rich in folate, green vegetables specifically, nuts and seeds. Okay, they've talked about spinach here. Yogurt is full of probiotics. So this is real food, and obviously avoiding highly processed foods, such as for everybody, processed meats that we've discussed very recently, delicacies that people like as fast foods, such as burgers, and overdoing white carbs, because those get into the body and are quickly turned into fat, okay, and cause a lot of dis-ease. Refined sugars, we talk about that quite often, and alcohol, all those things, okay? So this is where to start. Start by looking at your diet. And if one hopes to have a high fertility, they need to be very, very mindful of what they are allowing into their bodies. Then the other thing is balancing the lifestyle. And we've mentioned this a few times, but you know, having a good vision, your spiritual lifestyle, your mental, your personal, and your career. Your financial well-being is so important because you won't be able to look after babies if finances are always a cause of stress. Then physical, energy, and a loving social and family support system, all those are important. So I thought in this particular presentation, we are doing an introduction and an overview, and we want to understand that fertility is not just a simple matter, or it isn't something that just happens. One has to work at ensuring that it does happen successfully. So this is important and achievable because consistent high levels of natural energy and emotional balance and mental fitness and awareness of what enhances health and what suits our bodies are all very important if we are to take on the responsibility of looking after another individual called a baby. So all this is quite some stuff to mull over. Now, here are some facts about preconception that I thought would be important to know. It takes 3 months for sperm to mature. It takes 1 month for an ovum, that's the egg from the woman, to mature. And I suppose that's why we have monthly cycles. Now, about 1 in 3 conceptions is spontaneously lost during the first 3 months. So it's quite a high percentage. And the risk can be reduced when both the man and the woman are adequately nourished and stress managed. So, you know, it has become quite a field in the medical profession to sort out issues of fertility, when in fact, perhaps one should be focusing on general lifestyle conditions before arriving at a fertility clinic. But that's just a thought. Now, some causes of low fertility, common causes of miscarriage include lack of progesterone. Progesterone is what I like to call the mother hormone, because from it we get estrogen, we get testosterone, and we get all the classes of the estrogens. So it is a very, very important hormone. It is found in both men and women. All hormones are found in all of us. It's just the ratios that make us either man or woman. Then another cause of low fertility is accumulation of homocysteine. That is actually a byproduct of amino acids or protein metabolism. Okay, so too much amino acid, particularly methionine, I believe, but other ones as well. They break down, cause homocysteine, which can lead to damage to arteries, and it can also lead to damage to DNA. So homocysteine is always mentioned in heart disease, in blood pressure issues, and now we know damage to DNA. And once DNA, that is the cellular material that causes the next cells to be made. It is genetic material. Once it is damaged, it becomes kind of difficult to procreate, to be fertile. And then another thing that causes low fertility, toxic metals in the environment. And those of you who were here a couple of weeks ago might recall that we went through quite a lot of toxins and toxic metals that we are exposed to. And then, of course, suboptimal nutrition. So there are some questions to ask yourselves. And the picture is very, very suggestive that most people love to have a coffee, but if you notice what the coffee is in, some of those things might be also damaging to the body, the containers, the plastics. So do you take care to ensure that most of your food is organic? Do you often eat fried foods or even fast foods? Another one, which is quite unfair, do you live in a city and drink unfiltered tap water? Do you smoke or live and work with smokers? Is most of the food you eat or drink in contact with cling wrap or soft plastic? Do you have alcoholic beverages on most days? Do you take an average of 1 course, maybe even more, of antibiotics each year? I know many people prescribed antibiotics even when they are not indicated, when they're not necessary. So ask yourself those questions, or ask your clients or friends and family and people you hear who are looking for to start a family. Ask them those questions, because those are all very pertinent questions. Right, so we want to talk about the health of the family. Good foundations. And I believe in this particular family called the Neolife family, we are committed to learn what we can do to make the world a healthier and happier place. And the first thing that we need to emphasize always is that you are what you eat, therefore your diet is important. And 75% of all chronic diseases are preventable. The sad reality is that modern lifestyle has foods that look like that. This is a bottle of a popular cold drink which has a lot of tartrazine, and I've mentioned tartrazine. Okay, so let's become more mindful. This is for the guests on the call, that we at Neolife believe that to lead a healthy life, you need to be doing a lot of physical activity, managing your weight, and then eating whole grains. And when I say whole grains, you will have a hard time finding true whole grains, because food processing started a few years ago at the turn of the century, the other century. And with that, we lost the ability to have whole grains available to us. And then we are to eat some protein, obviously fruits and vegetables in abundance, but little fat and sugars. The reality is that we've turned that wellness triangle upside down. Most people don't even walk to switch on the television anymore. They have a remote control. And then too much fat and sugars are ingested in the diet. And the fats are the wrong types of fats, in that they are trans fats or saturated fats, and they are not good for us, our health. The result of that is that we're seeing many people drop from the energetic zone quite early in life, sometimes even in childhood, into the tired and sick zones, resulting in a loss of a lot of life. Because for many years, people have to be maintained on ways to just keep them ticking along, you know. It might be chronic medication, or they might just be complaining of feeling tired all the time, and therefore take matters into their hands and use certain ways of overcoming that temporarily. And that's because our cells, which are supposed to be healthy and are supposed to allow nutrients in and waste matter out, become very unhealthy because of the membrane becoming harder and harder because of the wrong types of oils or fats. And that is where disease starts, at that level. We have a solution in this family that we would love to share with you. And when we talk cells, back to the beginning, we all began as single cells that came together, and those cells had those elements, mitochondria and the nucleus, and that's where we need to be feeding ourselves. So the strong foundation that we want to introduce to everybody is called TRNN. With the right nutrition, your cells, including those cells that first form the baby, can perform their very best for your well-being and vitality. This is a revolutionary product, and you will only find it in this family. So let's talk a little bit about essential fatty acids, which TRNN gives us. Lipids and sterols, those form the foundation for all cells and all hormones. And then we have another class of essential fatty acids called omega-3. This is extremely important for prostate health and for modulation of hormones, for making sure that the immune system is working optimally because of the way it modulates inflammation. These oils are super important. So essential fatty acids is where I want to start. And we know all this thanks to our scientific advisory board. And TreeNN is one of the most important products that anybody can take thanks to what we have learned from this board of scientists who decided right from the beginning to have one ethic, and that is everything has to be human natural nutrition. And why this is important is that, yes, a lot of people will argue that, but I use other supplements. But what they perhaps don't know is that those supplements might be synthetic or semi-synthetic. So the ethic of the Scientific Advisory Board is that everything has to be based in nature and backed by science. And then furthermore, they say that to prevent disease, and that is the key, to prevent disease, rather than waiting for disease to happen and then you spend a fortune trying to correct it. One needs to make sure that weight is managed, one is physically active, and a diet rich in whole food nutrients. So our supplements become part of the diet to bridge those gaps in the diet that are invariably present. And now we have the concept of core nutrition, which looks like that, but let's look at it more closely. Pro Vitality gives you on top the essential fatty acids that we've talked about, lipids and sterols and omega-3 oils. And then the two at the bottom, an antioxidant that you will find nowhere else as well, called carotenoid complex. It's extracts of fruits and vegetables that have been shown to improve the body's immune capability by a whopping 37% in 20 days, and also to slow down the aging process, oxidative damage, by 44%. So that is so key for one who is looking to have good fertility. So that's Pro Vitality. Now let me just zero in a little bit on the omega-3. Other companies have omega-3. Other places you will find omega-3, but you will not find another omega-3 that gives you all 8 omega-3 molecules in the product. And also 100% purity, because this company tests for all the toxins imaginable, over 200 toxins or classes of toxins, and they make sure that they give us a pure product because you don't want toxins. So now, some news for everybody, men and women, but particularly the men. You know, I'm very, very keen to see our men folk as healthy as possible. These two products are very important, very, very important. Right, let's quickly go through vitamins. As I said, this is an overview, and then I'll tell you at the end what will happen next week. Right, vitamin C and high doses of vitamin C keep the sperm healthy in that the sperm doesn't clump, and it improves sperm motility. Vitamin B complex, important for reproductive glands and sex hormone production. It also helps for stress. It's needed for genetic material, DNA and RNA synthesis. It has been shown to restore fertility in some women. Because they are deficient, they can't fall pregnant. Vitamin A is important for reproductive glands. Vitamin E, we also call it the sex vitamin. It balances hormones. It carries oxygen to the sex organs. It's a very important one. And vitamin D, a lot of people are deficient in this vitamin. All cells have receptors for vitamin D. It is important for immunity and cellular energy. Then the important role of amino acids. Okay, now in our core nutrition, we have the shake as part of the core nutrition. It is the one product that will give you all the 22 amino acids that are involved in human nutrition. So it's important to have them. But I'll single out arginine, which has been shown to increase sperm count and plays a role in sperm motility. Glycine, which increases oxygen supply in the blood in all tissues, and that is important for fertility. Cysteine and methionine, those two are sulfur-containing amino acids, and they're important because they are effective against free radicals. So they act as antioxidants, and they also protect hormonal function. However, if one is hoping to get everything from eating a lot of meat and eating too much meat, that is what leads to homocysteine buildup. So one has to strike a balance. And then tyrosine is important in making stress hormones, and it stabilizes mood and relieves stress. So all those amino acids that I've just talked about can be found in the shake, but they can also be found in this product that perhaps men who are serious about fertility should take a close look at. They're available. Amitone is a unique formulation of free-form amino acids, chelated minerals, and herbal extracts. It is used in weight management as an amino acid body toner, taken 3 tablets in the evening at bedtime on an empty stomach, so preferably after supper and at bedtime. It is said to be an amazing product. So for the guests and for distributors, here is a product that you should be promoting when you hear of issues with fertility. So I've talked about vitamin B, so now and C, so I'll just show the visuals. These are both water-soluble vitamins. They are in short supply generally. Why? Vitamin C, for example, is very heat sensitive, and we tend to cook our food. So we need to supplement. And then I've talked about vitamin E. We have 2 forms, wheat germ oil and vitamin E, carries oxygen. Then minerals, very important. Let's just go through them very quickly. Selenium deficiency leads to low sperm count and infertility. Zinc, we've said it is important for the functioning of reproductive organs and for the immune system. Manganese, it maintains sex hormone production. And there's just a rider here that for best results, it should be taken separate from calcium. So manganese can be taken in the morning, and then CalMag, we generally say, you take it at night or at bedtime as well. Then calcium and magnesium, very, very important for hormones and overall health and stress management and management of blood pressure. So can you see that we have amazing products? Manganese is found in multi. It's a trace mineral. It is also found in the shake. So perhaps that's why we take our multi and the shake in the morning or during the day. It helps to form connective tissue, bones, blood, clotting factors, and sex hormones. It's also important in fat and carbohydrate metabolism, sugar regulation, normal blood, normal brain and nerve function. Now, it has been shown that one of the causes of low fertility is selenium deficiency. And selenium and zinc tend to be deficient together. And people need to be aware and need to do something about it to supplement. Multi provides 100% of the daily requirement of manganese and 72% of the daily requirement of selenium in a tablet of multi. That is just for your information. So now I'm going to quickly finish by saying stress. Is it the missing piece of the puzzle? I believe so. Stress manifests uniquely in each individual. So we need to be so aware of our lifestyle choices, such as, and some of these will come as surprises, avoid vigorous exercise, hot baths, and saunas, not to be done too frequently because it can cause changes in ovulation and reduced sperm production. That's quite interesting. And yet they have their place too. But if one is always doing some of these things, so there is moderation called for. Avoid dependence on medications, okay? Because it has been shown, for example, that ulcer medications that people go into a shop and buy over the counter can cause low or no sperm production. And then it's quite obvious, this one, avoid cigarette smoking or people who smoke. Alcohol causes low sperm count, and it also has been shown to prevent implantation of a fertilized egg. And then for those who are wanting to conceive and are sensitive to caffeine, coffee, too much coffee, and other beverages that have it, they are well advised to consider that. So good practices, as I say, this was an overview. Avoid those ones, highly processed foods, too much sugar, excessive animal fats. We say this all the time. And then some may be advised to avoid gluten foods, okay, especially wheat gluten. It is associated with a high incidence of an autoimmune condition called celiac disease. So in some cases, people with celiac disease have been shown to have other autoimmune diseases that accompany it. Celiac disease is common as a result of wheat gluten, and some forms of infertility are believed to be as a result of an autoimmune condition going on. Okay, so that is something to be aware of. And then stress management. Wow, we can go to town on that one. And then some people, it's as a result of progesterone deficiency. Some might say use the creams to supplement progesterone, but I just want to say that if lipids and sterols are the deficiency, then rather supplement with what we've got, which is Treonine. Okay, as we finish off, phytonutrients and herbal alternatives. There are many that one has to include in your diet, but we have herbal alternatives called adaptogens, one for him called masculine herbal, and for her, feminine herbal. Talk to the person who has invited you and they will give you more information. But for the feminine one, I just wanted to point out that things like low mood, low vitality, anxiety, irritability, all can depress fertility. Detoxification, very, very, very important. And I've got a little story here. I've got a friend who came to me once and said, hey, but your detox program, I have no words for it. I said, what happened? Anyway, she fell pregnant. After detoxing, she fell pregnant. And that just confirms what we keep saying, that sometimes toxins are in the way and form that poor soil, as it were. So beta GAD is at the core of a good detox program, as we've discussed. Stress can be managed. We have various products. And finally, I just want to say charity begins at home. Control the controllables. You can control the toxins that you allow in your home. We have a powerful, economical, earth-friendly, very versatile range of cleaning products that will begin the work of ensuring that where you live is safe, and if there are issues with fertility, at least you are doing something about it as a start. And then the rest you leave to God. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this has been useful. Next week, my plan is to invite a colleague to talk about issues around female fertility. And then the week after that, we shall invite another colleague, another doctor. So next week will be one doctor. Then on the 20th, another doctor to talk about male fertility issues. And then we'll close off the month of February, the month of love, the month when we are discussing issues of fertility with a discussion. So thank you very much. I just want to say thank you for being here.